Hi everyone, and welcome to our module on resilience for the Leadership Society. Today we're going to start off with our quote of the day. It's by Nelson Mandela, the former president of South Africa. And he said, "Do not judge me by my success. Judge me by how many times I fell down and got back up again," which ties great into our topic today. So what is resilience? So resilience is described in the dictionary as the ability of a person to adjust to or recover readily from illness, adversity, major life changes, etc. And in terms of psychology, most psychologists and theorists describe it as the process and outcome of successfully adapting to difficult or challenging life experiences. And it requires mental, emotional, behavioral flexibility and adjustment to external and internal demands. So we'll go through as a group what resilience means in terms of our definitions, but one of the most important things that I want you to think about throughout this module is, what does resilience mean to you? If you have a piece of paper, or even if you're just doing it in your own head, maybe take some time to pause this video and define resilience in your own words. So how can we define resilience as a group for our purposes here today? So resilience isn't just getting over things or pretending that they didn't happen. People who are truly resilient ask for help. They allow themselves to feel a broad range of emotions when they're going through a difficult experience. And they also take time to take care of themselves and make sure that, to use the analogy that you might have heard before, they're putting on their own oxygen mask before they're helping other individuals. And it's important to remember that even the strongest and most resilient people who you think can bounce back from anything and get over anything quickly, often need help from professionals like therapists, psychiatrists, clergy, so they're pastors or rabbis, or priests, or any spiritual leader, and sometimes even social workers. There is no shame in asking for help if that's what you need. So when we're thinking about resilience, we can think of it again as a way to move past a difficult situation. So here are some examples that might require some resiliency to get over. So if you've experienced the loss of a loved one, or if your pet has passed away, maybe you lost your job that you really needed and relied on, or maybe you really wanted a job or an opportunity and you didn't get in, or you had your dream college and you applied and it didn't work out. Maybe you're going through a tough breakup, that you got a bad grade on a test or a course. Maybe you're having some health challenges, or a loved one is struggling with an illness that's really difficult to overcome. And on a lighter note, it takes resilience to develop a hobby. Even if you're not very good at something from the beginning, it takes time and practice to develop those skills. So I wanted to pause for a second and do a quick note about resilience. So resilience is required in any situation that you find personally challenging. It doesn't matter if other people think it's not that big of a deal or it's not that upsetting. The death of a pet is a great example. A lot of times people are just like, oh, it's just a dog or it's just a cat, but, you might have really loved your pet and you might really care for them. And if they pass away, that might be really difficult for you. So if it's an important situation to you, then it requires resilience for you to overcome it, regardless of what other people say. So when we're trying to develop our resilience, when we're trying to be stronger, quote-unquote, people, there are 6 domains that we can improve, and we're going to go through each one together. So the first is vision. So people who are resilient spend a lot of time thinking about what they want out of life, and they have goals to get those experiences or their relationships or the opportunities that they want, so they can go out and live that vision that they have for themselves. And most importantly, they allow their vision to guide their behaviors. We have a great example here. If your goal is to be the best track and field athlete that you can be, then our goal for a resilient person is to have behavior that matches that. So it might be tempting to lay on the couch all day and watch Netflix and eat takeout and fast food all the time. But if you want to be the best track athlete that you can be, it's important that you get up and do your workouts, that you eat balanced meals, and that you're doing what you need to do in order to be successful. So composure is our next domain. So composure is all about staying calm during difficult situations. People who are resilient try not to get really, really angry or yell at people or scream. And they try also not to start breaking down and crying. By staying calm, we're able to evaluate the whole situation that's happening, and rather than making a choice from our emotions, we're making a choice that takes into our emotions and the best choices for us, and the most logical choices. So, a big part of developing your composure is avoiding what we call an interpretation bias. So, instead of looking at things through a negative lens, we should aim to look at things through a positive or neutral lens. And a great example is, you might get an email from your professor who says they want to see you after class. If we have a negative interpretation bias, our mind might go to, oh, our professor is going to yell at us, or maybe we're not doing well in the course, or maybe we got a bad grade on the test. But our goal should be to have a neutral mindset. We don't really know what our professor wants to talk about. Yes, he could want to talk about a bad grade, but maybe he recommended you for a job that you really wanted, or he sees a lot of potential in you and wants to be your mentor. By maintaining a neutral or positive bias towards looking for at things, we can save ourselves a lot of stress. And then finally, there are some things that make keeping our composure really difficult. Having things like anxiety, depression, going through trauma can make things hard to be composed. And that's not our fault. And we deserve compassionate healthcare that can help treat those disorders if we have them, and help us get through whatever we're going through at the present moment. So the next domain is reasoning. So like I was saying previously, part of composure is being able to use logic to make some of our decisions. And reasoning is not just that. It's logic and problem solving. So people who are resilient are really great at looking at the challenges that come up in their lives and trying to solve them in new and creative ways. And a really important part of reasoning is also planning ahead to help avoid challenges. It's really difficult when we're experiencing a challenge to make the right choices, but if we can plan ahead and remove some of those challenges, then we don't have to worry about it. So example, if you have a really hard time staying off your phone when you're studying, you always want to be texting your friends, or Snapchatting, or FaceTiming people, totally understandable, but maybe not the best thing when we're trying to do our schoolwork. So it might be a good idea to, rather than have to avoid the temptation of your phone, just keep your phone in another room, or in your backpack, or out of sight, so you don't even have to think about not using your phone. You just don't have it near you. It's much easier to resist temptation that way. So health. Health is one of the most important domains of resilience. We can't reach our goals or take care of ourselves unless we have a solid foundation of being well. And that includes eating nutritious food, getting enough sleep, regularly moving our bodies or engaging in exercise, and taking care of our overall well-being. And healthy people also ask for help. So, if you're feeling sick, or if you maybe hurt your leg or your arm, we should try to see a doctor if we can afford it. If we're struggling to get enough sleep, maybe we have a whole lot on our plate and we have to stay up super late at night, maybe we can ask some of our friends or family if they can help us and achieve some of our daily tasks so we have more time to ourselves. So maybe a friend could help babysit your children, or someone else could help be a tutor so you don't have to stay up so late doing homework. Or maybe someone could even loan you some money so you can get through a difficult time. It's okay to ask for help, and it's also okay to use the resources that you have available. So tenacity is another great domain of resources. So people who are resilient have what we call tenacity. So they stick through their goals despite any challenges that might arise. And people with tenacity also seek to look to the past, not because they want to dwell on what went wrong and think about all the ways they could have improved, but they want to see ways that they can improve in the present moment, so ways they can learn and make a plan to do better in the future. And most importantly, people who have tenacity remain realistic but optimistic. So we have a great example here. So if your goal is to graduate from college, it's important to realize that, that's going to be really hard. It's a big goal and it's going to have some challenges. However, there's also a lot of opportunities that will be great experiences. You'll have opportunities to have fun, to grow, to learn, engage in new experiences. It's important to have faith that you can get through the difficulties and all the exciting things to persist through to the end and reach your goal of getting your diploma. Collaboration is another aspect of resiliency. So resilient people know they can't achieve all their goals or make it through tough times alone. They need other people around them, and they know that it's important to ask for help. So if you're struggling, it's important to turn to the people around you and see if they can help you out. And in turn, if you have great people around you who are willing to help you out when you're going through a difficult time, it's important that you, in turn, be a support to them. And then it's also important to be aware of context. People who are resilient know that they need different people for different things. So it might be a good idea to talk to your friend about an emotional struggle you're having, but you might go to your professor for academic support. And then maybe go to a family member for financial support. But it's important to realize that we can't have one person who's going to do it all for us in our life. We need a lot of people in our life to help us. So if you're with someone now, or even if you're just by yourself, think to yourself, what was a time that you felt was personally challenging? How did you overcome that challenge? And did you use any of the 6 domains in your response to your challenging situation? So we're thinking about collaboration, tenacity, etc. And if so, which ones did you use? So far we've learned how to grow in these 6 domains of resilience. But we want to continue to grow. So we're going to have this video here that I'm also going to put on our Blackboard module. And this is going to give us a little bit more information about how one can boost your resilience. And then here's some quick questions about the video that, again, will also be on our Blackboard for you to watch and reflect on. And then finally, to wrap up, it's important to think about the times when it's okay to not be resilient. It's okay to not always be strong, to not always be independent, to not always be resilient. It's very, very difficult to get over adverse experiences without support. And all of us deserve help in our struggles from our friends, our families, and professionals. It's also important to realize that when things happen, it takes time. If we lose a job that we really needed, we're not going to get over that the next day or maybe even a week. It might take us a month or two to really feel better about the situation and feel a little bit less sad. In fact, when it comes to that, it's important to give ourselves that time, and it's actually really healthy to give ourselves that time to grieve and be just within our feelings. And naturally, everybody has a limit. Not everybody can have everything piled on them at the same time. It's natural to reach a breaking point and be like, hey, I just can't do all this right now. You are not expected to handle all of your experiences and responsibilities without asking for help. And it's okay to feel overwhelmed. Again, it's important then to go back into your community, into the people you have in your life, and see where you can get assistance. And it's also important to look at the resources around you to see if anything can help you out with what you're experiencing. So I have a few resources here where you can learn more. There's some great books and podcasts if you're interested in learning more about what it means to be resilient in our world today. And then finally, here are some references if you want to look further into what it means to be resilient. But thank you so much for going through this module. I hope it was helpful, and I look forward to continuing on this journey with you all. Have a great day.